Our noon air. Below her, a parade of color moved through the theme park, families with matching t-shirts, kids clutching oversized balloons, couples sharing melted ice cream. She watched it all with a quiet smile, one hand resting on her hip, the other holding a half-finished lemonade. A lot of you ask how I lost weight, she had said earlier that day, filming a short clip on her phone. Do I diet? Do I work out? Not really. She hadn't planned on saying more, but now, standing there, she felt like there was more to explain, something that couldn't fit into a 30-second video. Because it wasn't really about weight. It started long before the theme parks, before the nature trails, before she even realized anything needed to change. Back then, her days felt heavy in a way that had nothing to do with her body. Mornings came slowly, evenings felt repetitive. Everything was predictable: wake up, scroll, snack, sit, repeat. Life wasn't bad, but it wasn't exciting either. It was like watching the same episode over and over again and pretending it still surprised you. Movement, at that point, felt like a chore. The idea of working out brought images of sterile gyms, harsh lighting, and routines that demanded discipline she didn't feel like she had. Dieting felt even worse: rules, restrictions, guilt. It all sounded like punishment. And Cortney didn't think she needed punishment. She needed something else. Something lighter. Something fun. The shift didn't happen overnight. It started with a small decision, almost accidental. One day, instead of ordering something online, she decided to go out and browse in person. Nothing serious, just a casual walk through a shopping district. At first, she noticed the obvious things: store windows, music spilling out onto the sidewalks, the smell of fresh coffee drifting from cafes. But then she noticed something else. She kept walking. Not because she had to, not because she was counting steps or trying to burn calories. She walked because there was always something around the next corner: a new display, a street performer, a hidden little shop she hadn't seen before. Time passed without her realizing it. By the time she got home, her feet were tired, but her mood was lighter. It didn't feel like she had worked out, it felt like she had lived. That feeling stayed with her. So she chased it. The next time, she chose a nature trail. She wasn't sure what to expect: just a quiet path, maybe some trees. But the moment she stepped onto the trail, something shifted. The air felt different there, cooler, calmer. The sounds were softer but somehow richer: leaves rustling, birds calling, the steady rhythm of her own footsteps. She didn't rush. She didn't need to. Each step felt like it belonged there. She stopped to look at things she normally wouldn't notice: a strange-shaped rock, sunlight filtering through branches, the way the path curved just enough to make her curious about what lay ahead. Walking wasn't just movement anymore, it was exploration. And exploration didn't feel like effort. It felt like freedom. That was the moment she began to understand something important: movement didn't have to be structured to be meaningful. It just had to be enjoyable. Theme parks came later, almost as a joke. A friend had suggested it: you'll get your steps in without even realizing it, they said. They were right. But it wasn't just the walking. It was everything. The anticipation of the next ride, the music echoing through different sections of the park, the way each area had its own personality, its own story. She found herself walking miles without thinking about it, carried by excitement instead of obligation. She laughed more. She moved more. And without trying to, she changed. It wasn't dramatic at first. There was no single moment where she looked in the mirror and saw a completely different person. It was gradual, almost invisible, but she felt it before she saw it. She felt lighter. Not just physically, but mentally, emotionally. Life had started to feel like those theme park paths, full of turns, surprises, and reasons to keep going. People eventually noticed. They asked questions. What's your routine? What diet are you on? What's your secret? At first, she didn't know how to answer, because the truth sounded too simple. I just walk. But that wasn't the whole story. She didn't just walk. She created experiences. She made movement something she looked forward to instead of something she avoided. She stopped treating her body like a problem to fix and started treating it like a companion in an ongoing adventure. And that changed everything. There were still days when she didn't feel motivated, days when the couch seemed more appealing than any trail or shopping trip. But she learned something else during her journey: motivation wasn't something you waited for. It was something you created. On those days, she didn't tell herself to exercise. She told herself to go somewhere interesting. A new market. A different park. A street she hadn't walked before. The goal wasn't movement. The goal was curiosity. Movement just happened along the way. Over time, that mindset reshaped her habits without forcing them. Walking became a natural part of her life, not scheduled, not measured, just there, like breathing. And because it didn't feel forced, it lasted. That was the difference. Diets ended. Workout plans faded. But curiosity stayed. Joy stayed. Exploration stayed. One evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the sky in soft shades of orange and pink, Cortney found herself on another trail. It was one she had walked before, but it felt different every time. She paused at a familiar spot, a small clearing where the trees opened up just enough to reveal the horizon. She took a deep breath and smiled. This was it. This was the secret everyone kept asking about. Not a trick. Not a shortcut. Just a shift. A decision to make life more engaging. To make movement feel like a reward instead of a requirement. To stop chasing results and start enjoying the process. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, pulling her back to the present. Another message, another question. How did you lose the weight? She pulled out her phone, opened the camera, and hit record. For a moment, she just looked at herself on the screen, slightly flushed from the walk, hair a little messy, eyes bright. Then she smiled. I don't really diet, she said, and I don't really work out in the way people think. I just make walking fun. She turned the camera slightly, letting the view behind her come into frame, the trees, the open sky, the path stretching forward. I go to places that make me happy, theme parks, nature trails, even just walking around shops, and when you enjoy it, she paused, glancing back at the trail, you don't even realize how much you're moving. She stopped recording and watched the clip for a second before posting it. It still felt too simple. But maybe that was the point. Not everything needed to be complicated to be effective. Sometimes, the best changes came from the smallest shifts in perspective. Cortney slipped her phone back into her pocket and started walking again. The trail ahead curved gently, disappearing into a canopy of green. She didn't know exactly where it would lead. But she didn't need to. That was part of the fun.